Welcome back. Senator Ita Enang and Senator Babafemi Ojudu are our guests on the show tonight. But you also can be part of the conversation by tweeting at us with the hashtag on your screen and to these Twitter handles. But if you want to send an email too, please go ahead and let's know what you feel about the issues we're discussing. The 2015 elections takes our attention, and the distinguished lawmakers are giving us perspectives on the issue. Senator Ita Enang of the PDP and Senator Babafemi Ojudu of the APC. Let me come to you, Senator Ita Enang in Abuja studio. Tell me what's your take on the issue of military deployment. Your party seems to feel strongly about the giving the military role to play in the elections. But remember, there was a court judgment about military playing any role in our elections. What's your take?
Please permit me, thank you very much, permit me to just take a little tip on the issues raised by my distinguished colleague, Senator Ojudu, and about it is the military that ought to have been invited and not INEC, INEC chairman. Please let me say that in the Senate, we work as a family. And if you bring a motion, the House will debate on it. And the president of the Senate, Senator David Mark, runs the Senate as one family. And most of these things we normally discuss in-house, in closed session, so that we look at perspectives freely before we come out. And I think that we all agreed that this is the best way to go about it. Again, I want to also urge that none of the political parties, Nigerians, agitators, should not allow us to overexpose the military to civilian institutions and civilian actions and civilian democratic institutions. And we should not over-discuss matters of the military in the public sphere, because we weaken our national defense capabilities and we are capable of exposing how strong we are or otherwise. Finally, I want to also plead to raise this one question before I get to whether we should deploy the military to the elections. Let me bring one adjunct question. And this question I'm raising to the Attorney General of the Federation. And I raise this question again to the Chief of Defense Staff, and then the Chief of Army Staff, and the heads of the Chief of the Air Staff, Chief of the Naval Staff. And ultimately, it will go to the Commander-in-Chief, because they should advise. Can the military of other states, that is nation states, Niger, Cameroon, Chad, or any other country, come and fight on the ground of Nigeria, on the soil of Nigeria, and within the territorial sphere of Nigeria without the resolution or agreement of the Nigerian legislature? Again, I raise the question again to make it clearer. Are the military forces of other countries helping the Nigerian army? And on what authority do they come onto the ground of Nigeria? Is it on the basis of a treaty? Has that treaty been perfected and has become part of the laws of Nigeria? And can that treaty come into effect without the Constitution and without the legislature, the National Assembly, being informed, and then we consider the implications and the extent of their engagement and the equipment they're going to use and the post-engagements? This is the question that I'm raising, using the opportunity, to the Attorney General of the Federation, Chief of Defense Staff, and the heads of the other armed forces. Let me come to your question on the deployment of the military for the elections. I've read the court judgments. I've read some of them. I've read the law. I've read the Constitution. To my knowledge, the question of deployment for soldiers for the election is not a question of the PDP or the APC. It is a question of the conduct of the elections and the question of the powers of the president on the command and operational use of the armed forces. Now, let me say that the military, if it becomes necessary for them to be given a role in the elections, they are not going to be given a role in the conduct of the elections. They are going to be given a role relevant to, appertinent to, and in accordance with the role of the armed forces. And what is the role of the armed forces? It is to help the other civil forces in the maintenance of peace and order when called in aid by the Commander-in-Chief who has the operational command of the armed forces. Now, let me take an example. The armed forces are not going to be engaged in the conduct of the elections. The elections are going to be conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission. It is the INEC that will provide the presiding officers, the returning officers, the state coordinating officers, the returning officers. They will provide the local government returning officers. They will provide everything for the conduct of the elections. The maintenance of peace during the conduct of the elections is what the military may have to be involved in if the commander-in-chief considers it necessary. We should draw a distinction between President Goodluck Jonathan as President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and President Goodluck Jonathan as candidate of the PDP. President Jonathan, if he has to call in the armed forces for a purpose, when General Buhari was the president, commander-in-chief, he could command the army as commander-in-chief to do what the law and the Armed Forces Ruling Council as at then did agree. Now, draw a distinction that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is, in this case, the commander-in-chief, and he is in charge of the peace, order, and good government of Nigeria for the conduct of the elections. Now, INEC will not surrender its job for the armed forces to do. Right now, we are going on the different campaigns. When the president goes on campaign, they have the police, the civil defense, some of them even have some naval ratings assisting. You also have the army there, and we're not protesting. When General Buhari goes on campaign, you also see the army there at the point of at the rallies, being part of maintaining the order. He was commander-in-chief. He is entitled to be protected by the army, even when other political parties that their candidates do not have a role to play in the armed forces. They are also given, the army is also given a role to maintain. They go there with the anti-bomb squad. They go there with their advanced teams. They go there with the riot control. They go there to assist the police. They go there to work together with the police.
Let me quickly come in now, if I may, Senator Enang, just a moment. Let me come in. The question a lot of people will be asking now, you're a lawyer, thank God for that. Yes. People are saying that the issue of policing the election is sacrosanct, as is written in the Nigerian Constitution. Their role is specified as to what they can do, and that's the question where a lot of people are asking. The school of thought saying that we do not need military deployment for this election, that the military has their statutory role to protect the integrity and the sovereignty of this nation. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, and I want to submit that in agreeing with that, part of protecting the integrity and the sovereignty of Nigeria and this nation is ensuring the conduct of free, fair, and credible election. And if the commander-in-chief, at the request of the Independent National Electoral Commission, or has the Independent National Electoral Commission come to say that they do not need the help or security for the elections, I have heard the INEC chairman, Professor Jega, say on many occasions, even when he appeared in the Senate, that if the electoral officers are not sure of their security, they will not go for elections. He cited the case of the incident we had in Bauchi. He also cited that if you employ youth corpers, their staffers, staff of INEC, and even the ad hoc staff, that you have to build their confidence that they will go there alive and come back alive. And then those who will even go for the elections, those who will even go to vote in the elections, you have to assure them that when they go there, that people will not come out with illegal arms, that people will not come out and overpower them. Let me say that to my knowledge, and in my very eyes, during the 2011 elections, I saw youths with different kinds of arms. I apologize for any person that would be embarrassed, holding perhaps in two arms in my area. And when they were even asked by the police, they say, Naim then send you. That is, it is civilians, children between 17 and 27 years. I apologize to my people if they hear this.
Just to put this in perspective, just a moment, Senator Enang. So are you saying that the Nigerian police are not capable of policing the elections?
If the Independent National Electoral Commission accepts, or in the deployment, they agree that they do not have enough men of the police force and other paramilitary institutions that will help them in the election, and they request the president to provide the army for it, it is at their request, and the president has the operational control of the armed forces.
All right, let me allow, just a moment, let me allow Senator Ojudu to come in, because I know that each party, the APC, are strong on this matter, and it's on the premise, of course, I know, on that judgment in Sokoto, that your party is saying that military should not be given any role in this election. But take a moment, Senator Ojudu, and think about the fact that Nigeria is at a critical point in terms of security. We have a huge pressure, and we have a lot of on our hands. And do you think that if the military do not come in, we can successfully have this election policed?
Yes, let me first of all say that I disagree with my colleague when he said in the course of this campaign, even soldiers have had to follow the APC and our presidential candidate. I've been to so many places, so many rallies with our presidential candidate. I've not seen soldiers, one single soldier following us at all, you know. So that one...
Even for a general who retired in the army...
Yes, no single soldier...
He doesn't have any aide-de-camp? I mean, that is a military man?
I've never seen even an aide-de-camp...
But that is statutory for him to have...
Yeah, he could have. Maybe it was
a military dress.
But I want to say that he's not talking about even one person. He's talking about soldiers.
So you don't have soldiers?
No, we don't have soldiers
APC
following us in our campaign. No, I disagree wholly with that. You know. Now let's go to the issue of the military. The only agency of government given a role in the Constitution to conduct the election in an election in Nigeria is the INEC. Granted that INEC will need the assistance of security people. And that's why we have the police, you know, to assist in maintaining law and order in the course of elections. And there are other paramilitary organizations. It's only in Nigeria we'll be talking of an election, they want to go to the barrack and bring out soldiers. Interestingly, in the Senate where we are, we have, you know, retired soldiers. You know, last week I was talking to one of my colleagues, a general, who also happened to be a member of the Committee for Defense and Army. And I said, look, General, you have been here for long. As a serving general, you also participated in elections. What role was given to soldiers in the course of elections? I said, no, actually, they had nothing to do with elections. All they did at that time was to make sure that, you know, they have some checkpoints in the entrance to major cities to ensure that nothing that is not allowed is brought into the community where they are protected. That's all the rule. You don't have soldiers parading and shooting and all that. The kind of situation we had in Ekiti, in Oshun, during the last election, you know, I was a victim, you know, and many of my colleagues in Ekiti were
shot, or how did you become a victim?
They were going about busting into homes, smashing doors, smashing wardrobes, searching for what was not there.
Was your house searched?
Actually, they went to my house, I was not there. They went to an hotel, Fountain Hotel, they smashed the doors, smashed the wardrobes there, you know, driving all the...
Looking for you?
Looking for everybody.
Did you have the... Why would they be looking for you?
Of course, they believe that some of us are key to the success of that election in our state. We are going to mobilize our people.
Is there a reason why, I mean, for example, your party don't want the military?
Oh,
You're afraid of the military?
Of course, you all have listened to the tape, you know, of what happened in Ekiti in the last election. And that, for me, is so inglorious, where you could bring a general and then you browbeat him into doing what is against the ethics of his profession. These are the kind of things we want to avoid. Apart from the fact that, you know, we have two subsisting court judgment saying that, look, soldiers have no role to play. If there is a crisis in the course of election, if there is a fallout from the outcome of the election that is too difficult and hard for the police to contain at that point, you know, you can then request for the support of soldiers. But in a situation whereby you need to protect people who are casting their vote at polling booths, and then you bring soldiers. I experienced situations in Ekiti whereby soldiers came to polling booths and pick, people right from where they were queuing to vote. And they had in their vehicle agents of PDP. You just point to, oh, that's the leader in that ward, that's the leader in that local government, and then they will pass on them, they will take them away.